Oh, hello there. Hey guys, I don't know what to say. I am here in Fort Lee, New Jersey. Fort Lee, New Jersey is right across from Manhattan, the upper northern part of Manhattan, and we are here at the George Washington Bridge. And the idea for this morning was to just get not just one shot of the bridge. I think the idea for this video and also this morning was to work the scene. Because if you Google George Washington Bridge at sunrise, you're going to get lots of other photographs. Everything's been done here. So you kind of want to take the shot that all the tourists take and then sort of work the scene. And it's crazy, you just shift left a little bit and it just changes your vantage point. It changes your ideas. You see new things. And one of the things, for example, I saw here that I've never seen before was this little tree at the edge. And so for a while I was kind of working the scene using the little tree as a foreground, and also including it in the composition also gave a little bit of interest. Try Googling that. See if you can find that tree in this area. Also, there's a little luck involved too. We got a really great sunrise, but the clouds just kind of put an end to that. And now it's a kind of a bit of a cloudy mess. So we got kind of lucky seeing the sun. So to work the scene, I knew I needed some kind of zoomy zoom. So I brought along a 300 millimeter f4. You know, if you have a 70 to 200, that's great to work the scene. All right, I just want to share some of the things that I think of when I'm trying to work the scene. I'll go through different angles and thoughts that I have, and maybe that'll help some of you out a little bit. And also, please don't tell me shots that I've missed or what you would have done. That's a little bit irksome. I'm only there an hour. I'm with my son. I'm trying to enjoy the morning. So I don't really need to hear what shot I missed as you look through these, okay? So start your own channel. Thanks. Was that rude? Sorry. Okay, so what I'm thinking here, this is kind of the vantage point you get as the tourist. And one thing you might not notice right away is just the foreground element really isn't helping the photograph. So all of this is kind of blocking, this one not so much, but these two are blocking the bridge. So we could probably find a better vantage point. This right here is another sort of touristy shot, but it's a little better. At least there's a clearer photo. So this isn't completely terrible. I mean, we have leading lines here that kind of bring you, the bridge here is on a third, is what I'm thinking here. The only thing that is a little is there isn't a lot of space for the bridge. So this is the 24 millimeter, so it doesn't go wide enough from where I'm standing. So of course we switched to 14 millimeters. So now the bridge has a little bit more room. The only things to be careful with is you have stuff that you may either, remove in post. The bridge is a little too centered here is what I'm thinking. So this is just an overall shot. I kind of want leading lines to, so someone looks at the photograph. So foreground element is always nice, but this is our foreground element. Okay, so then we just move just a little bit to kind of come up with a little bit. And this is just a little better. You notice how there's less sky, and now we have a little bit of interest to the right. We brought some of these buildings in over here, and my son is in this photo, but here at least we have a little bit of a better path going in than before, which was kind of like, what's going on here? And believe it or not, guys, you just move a little bit and zoom your lens, get taller, get shorter, and just try different photographs, and that's working the scene. Now here, I wanted to, you could see over here, I kind of moved from where I'm standing here. I walked over, there was a little bit of graffiti here, and I knew I could see a little bit more of the bridge if I was there. And so I decided to do different compositions, either vertical or horizontal, with this as the foreground element. Now, this is not the tourist shot. Most people don't lay down on the ground and are thinking about shooting the graffiti as a foreground element. Now, also cropping and changing your edit, changes the mood of the photograph. So I kind of like it as a black and white as well. So that's something to try. So this image is at 14, this one is at 16, and this one is at 19 millimeters. So zooming your lens in also changes the composition and lets you work the scene a little bit. Now this 19mm one, I think here there isn't enough space on the edge of the photographs. There's just way too much sky. So probably either pulling back or making the composition, you know, something a little more, this is kind of just a mess is what I'm thinking in my mind. There's like too much going on, too much sky. So I didn't love this one. This is a little bit more balanced. The amount of sky, a little bit more rock. We could also crop in on this composition just a little bit more to make it a little tighter, a little, here we got a little bit of foreground interest, the plant, and so this works a little better. Okay, working with that plant, getting lower, going wider, that also was something that I worked on, and I didn't really find a great place where I could put this plant. But I'm seeing right now that maybe a wider composition might work. Whoa, not that. That looks like it might work. And by the way, these aren't fully edited, so here I might, you know, sort of work the sky a little bit more and yada yada, bring out the foreground, dodge and burn a little bit more. We're talking composition here, not so much editing, but I kind of like this. I think the plant balances out the plant. It's like a whole tree. I like this a little better. Sometimes cropping your composition, you know, works everything out. So there was maybe just a little bit too much sky in this one. Now walking around this little bush, I actually tried to get something that looked to the right, a little bit of composition to the right, just to get some images. And I think I like this one. This one has a little bit of balance of the land here in Fort Lee. And, you know, you have a little bit of interest to look in the back. And and the plant is kind of on a third there. So this one I like a little bit better than this one. By the way, I'm also here with my boy. I kind of asked the family, I'm like, does anyone want to, as a joke, you know, expecting everyone to say no, does anyone want to get up at sunrise and come out? Of course, everyone was no. And my son was like, yeah. I was super surprised by that. So I grabbed the Fujifilm X-T2 for him, in case he dropped it, you know, I didn't want to give him the X-T3. But anyway, he has a Fujifilm X-T2 and gave him the 56mm 1.2 so that he has like an 85 equivalent to get that perspective. And I also gave him the 16mm 1.4, so he has a 24 equivalent. And that, hopefully, I don't know what pictures he took. We'll put some here if he lets me. But you're able to work the scene also with 2 primes. I guess that's what the point I'm getting at. Obviously, you can get an 18 to 55 or the 16 to 80mm for Fujifilm. That was a great lens to work the scene as well. So a zoom is probably, if you're traveling and you want to just grab one lens to work the scene, something like a super zoom, a 24 to 120, a 24 to 105. Those are great to, you know, really pinpoint pieces of the scene. And this, I brought the bridge into the composition with the bush. Here, the only thing is I just chopped off a little bit of the bush here. And this was shot at 14mm up close. And so here we gave the bush a little bit more space. This is also at 14mm. And I think this has a better composition than this one, even though the black and white looks kind of nice. And I slapped the 24 to 70 back on and shot this at 70mm with the bridge in the background. So this is cool because this is kind of just another perspective of the same subject. And again, that goes with working the scene. I love what happened here with all these little bokeh balls, baby. And then here I tried a different composition where the bush, in the one right before it, I you know, had a little bit more water. And here I kind of just had a little less water and more bush. And then here, the sun started to come up, and I slapped on the 300mm to go and kind of shoot what was going on in the northern part of Manhattan here, which is nice. And so the sun started to come up. We even got a little airplane flying over. Now with the super zoom 300mm, I was totally able to just pick out tiny compositions in this big landscape. And with that 300mm, you could see that I can actually start thinking about working the scene in a new way. So here, this is not great because the bridge is completely just straight up in the middle. I have a little dust on my sensor. Yes, thank you. And so this is a little better. I moved the lens over and just included a little bit of this building and made sure that these little balconies were not chopped off. And I kind of think this is like they're kind of hanging out together here. Again, a piece of the bridge. These were like lines that were interesting. The light was getting interesting here as well. And also, getting rid of that little building on the side and shooting vertical. So for example, this is just pieces of the bridge that sort of give you an abstract look. The light is hitting the bridge on one side, and then the other side of the bridge here is in shadow. And so you get some interesting lines. And if maybe you showed someone this, they might not know what it is right away. I also did an interesting crop of this, which is pretty cool. Again, a little bit more abstract when you remove some of the information. Again, another piece of the bridge. And here I tried to do something because the light was hitting this and I didn't really love this. I tried a couple of different versions of this, but there's just too much sky here in my opinion, and there isn't enough interest here except for the light. So I tried that here, and I didn't really like either one. So I went back to this. So here in post, I actually exaggerated the shadows to be a little cooler. And so you have kind of like New York Mets colors here, New York Knicks colors, a little blue and orange or complementary colors. So that works out. But there was this like another little bush here from this vantage point. So I started to shoot, like I was like in the bush, and I was trying to shoot down, so that your eye goes from here, here, and looks across. And so I tried a couple of different compositions and, just in a little bit more and then a little bit less and a little bit. These are kind of the same, but you get the idea. I was trying different things. And if I was there longer, I probably could have done some more interesting and creative things here. I crush your head. All right, that was fun, guys. I'll see you next time.
Peace.